Okay, so what I like to do before we start, obviously we're going to go through, we're going to do the setup. Most of these dies have been set up, so they might just need a little bit of tweaking. So I got my 44 Magnum L.E. Wilson pistol case gauge, and you can see it doesn't go in. So this is a fresh, cleaned primer, still in it, piece of brass. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to drop it down into the system. We can work it. It comes through, and then we're going to size it and deprime it first. So you can bring it up, size and deprime. So that's what we've done. So hopefully now when we check this in the case gauge, now it's going in. Just give it a little bit of a wipe because I think it's a little bit dirty. So you can see it's sitting in the case gauge. It's nice and snug. So that's sized, deprimed. And what we'll do next is we're going to take it into the next section where we'll be priming it eventually. But first of all, I want to run it through the powder dye because this is where it's going to flare the end. So at the moment, it's not really sitting in there. Hopefully you can see that. And that's the bullet we're going to use. So we can just put it back into the powder funnel. We're going to bring it all the way up, cycle it to the floor and back. And now, let's pull this pin off. We can feel just a little flare on it, and hopefully you can see that. It's just put the smallest amount of flare on it, but it's just enough. You can see the bullet sits in there now. Just sit it in there, nice and square, and it's basically holding it, which is what you want, and just enough flare so it takes the bullet in. So from there we're going to go round and we're going to seat the bullet. So we're going to make up this dummy round on this one to start with. So we can drop that in there, seat the bullet on top, so it's giving us a measurement, a maximum overall length, COAL, of 1.610, and for this particular bullet is telling us to go to 1.600, and it has got the little groove in it, the Kanya groove. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just loosen up my seating die and unwind it just a little bit, and then we can start seating. So we're not going to overseat it. So with the bullet sitting nice and square in there, slowly bring it up into the seating die. And you can see we're nowhere near the groove yet, and we're at a measurement of 1.672. Hopefully you can see that, 1.672. So now we can put the bullet back in, turn the die down a little bit, and then repeat. And now we're at 1.648. So it still needs to go a little bit more. So take that die down a little bit more. .628, and remember 610 is the maximum overall length the book is saying, and 1600 is where we want to be. So now we're at 1.613, and you can see we're getting very close to the Kanya groove. If we can get it to sit in that groove, it'd be perfect. So down a little bit more again. we are at 1.600, exactly where we want to be. So we're going to put that back in there, hold the die, bring it up into place, and then we're going to tighten down, just snug the little nut down. Again, it doesn't have to be super tight, and we'll snug that one down. And there you go, you can see that round now is, the top of the case is going to crimp into that groove, perfect where we want it. And the measurement of it is 1.600 or 1.601. So then I've already got this crimp die set up, and again you can do the same. You can undo it, take it up a little bit and start crimping down slowly until you get to the crimp you want. But we're going to go in and do the crimp. You can see there's a nice medium to heavy crimp on that, and it's going into the groove where we want it. And now that we've finished the bullet, let's put it into the case gauge, and there you go, you can see it drops in and it's dropping out. Drops straight in and straight out. So there you go. So we know now that the flare is correct, that's working right. Sizing die and the depriming die is working perfectly. We have set the bullet seater to where we want it, and the crimp is coming out nice. It's not bulging the case, it's just a nice medium to heavy crimp on there. And there you go, guys, there's your dummy round. So there's that one done. So all that's left to do on the setup is the powder and what we're going to do, and load the primers. And I'll show you the way I do this as well. Okay, so I've just double checked again on my web loading data and the book, and we're going to be using Lil Gun. So let me just put this up here. So what we're going to do, we're going to get what we're going to be using, the Lil Gun. Take the top off. Unscrew the can. And then we can put some of this into the hopper. Nice and slow when you're tipping it out, you don't want to go spilling any of this stuff anywhere. So that's half full, that'll be enough to start off with. So that one's done. And I'm going to get one primer, because all I want to do now is start checking the powder to see where we are. So I need to prime one case. So let me bring this back down here. So I've just sized this case and deprimed it. So with just one of the CCI primers, Magnum primers, I'm going to just drop that into the hole, and we're going to set the primer in just one piece of brass. Nice seat. And there you can go, it's all seated. And from here, bring you around to the scales. I have a little scale. I'm going to pop the case on and switch it on, and by doing that it zeroes itself 0.00, so I don't have to tip the powder from the case into a little pan. I can do it all in place there. So with that set up, we know we're at 0. I'm going to bring you back up onto the, sorry for all the movement all the time, guys. So what we're going to do is pop that back into the underneath the powder drop, and we're going to cycle this just a couple of times to zero the powder. And the third one then, just make sure we're still at 0, so there's nothing there. It's perfectly at 0. And then I'm going to drop the powder. This can sit back on the scales, and on the scales you can see we're at 22.34, and we want to be at, it says, anywhere from 22.5 to 24.5. So I want to start off at the lower setting, so I'm going to tip this powder back in, make sure we're at 0, which we are. I'm going to drop another piece of powder just to verify that first one was okay. So that one's coming out at 22.6, a little bit over to where I want to be. The other one was a little bit under, so let's do a third one to see where we are. So we're at 0. And 22.6. So I'm going to take this back a little bit because I want it at the lower setting to start off with, to make sure, and then we can work up from there. So it just needs to go down a little bit. So I'm going to take it back a little turn, and then we can cycle the powder a couple of times just to make sure after the adjustment we're right. So you can put that back on. We're still all at 0. .06, so we went back just a touch too much, but a little bit more adjustment up. As long as I'm round up 22.5, it'll be good. .2, and where I'm adjusting this is here. Look, I'm just going up, and there's an adjusting screw at the back. I marked mine plus, which is adding more powder. We're turning it downwards, adding less, taking it back. So take it just a touch more. Now we've done the adjustment, I just want to cycle a couple. And we are at 22.58, which is where we want to be. So we can repeat it just to see, making sure that's empty, all the zeros. .52.5254. So we're great. Everything's perfect there. It's where we need to be. And then what I want to do is, off camera, I'm going to seat a bullet. We're going to measure that. And then we'll go in and we'll do the primer next. So now we're going to get the primers ready. So I just pull the primers out. CCI primers, tip these into the tray and give them a shake until they're all facing up. Flip them over, open them up just a little bit, and then we can go around and pick up the primers in the primer tube. So we've all done this, so I didn't run the whole video all the way through. We know what we're doing here. It's a little bit monotonous, but it's got to be done. So there we go. So there's the full tube. What I like to do then is just with a rod, push them away from the bottom up and just keep the bit of pressure on them like that. And then we can go back over onto the press. Take you up there. So with the plastic tube rod on, I just like to sit it there, pull the pin, let them all fall through. The weight of the rod pushes them all the way down. Put the low primer sensor back on, drop the tube in, and we're good to go there. And the last thing we're going to do is going to put the lid back on the powder. So that's the powder done. And then we can get the rest of our brass that we're going to be using. You see that? Let's take that up. I'm going to dump that in the hopper. And we can switch it on, and that will feed the brass through. You see that working there. That's going through. Continue back around here. Okay. So I'll just cycle the first piece comes through, sizes and deprimes, comes round onto where the primers are, and at the moment we haven't cycled through. So let me bring this back around here. Hopefully you can see there. Bring that down. Sorry about this, guys. I'm just trying to get it all focus as well. So hopefully you can see in there. It's a bit blurred. Let me just readjust it. So with all the brass ready to go, I pulled the piece out that was sitting here. So I'm just going to raise the arm up a little bit, and with my finger I'm just going to cycle. So you can't really see that there. Let me see if I can get around the other side. This isn't really working out the way I wanted it to, but hopefully you can see there. So I'm raising this up and I'm just cycling it around one click at a time, and there we have a primer has come through. So the whole system is all primed all the way through. We can pop our piece of brass in there and set the primer. And there we go, that's set in there. So we've made the dummy roundup. So you've known we've gone through, made a dummy roundup, and I made a full round off camera to get everything right. So you saw the caliber change, guys. We've done the whole caliber change, cleaned it, lubed it, everything to go. You see how I set up my dies, filling the powder chute, setting the powder, getting the powder right, how to adjust the powder to get it perfect, seating the die to the right position, and putting the crimp on. So from 45 ACP over to 44 mag, we have made the dummy round. So everybody on YouTube can see there's no primer in, there's no powder. You saw me making this round all the way through. And then also we have a completed round, powder charged, primer in, and we did that one off camera. So there you go, guys. So you saw me doing the caliber changeover, cleaning, lubing, filling the case feeder, filling the powder, filling the primers, setting the dies, and there you go. There's a caliber changeover from 45 ACP to 44 mag. Now this is all ready to go. Everything's full and we can go and make that. I really hope you enjoyed this, guys, and if you took something from it, that's great. If you like my videos, please like, share and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell notification. That'll tell you when I put any new videos out. Hope you enjoyed this one, guys, and we'll catch you on the next.